All right, everybody, welcome back to the Stop and Listen podcast, where it is always Beer 30. All right, so we're going to start a new series on the podcast, something a little different. I want to do different series. You know, some of the previous stuff we've done have been maybe funny stories that have happened, some political stuff. But I want to get off on kind of a focus that I have, something that potentially could help you as a viewer. Has a lot to do with my day trade life, which is driving a truck. Not just any type of truck. I do vocational trucking, such as demolition, construction type, whether it be dump trucks, low boys, flatbed stuff, things of that nature. So, without further ado, let's jump in. This is episode 1 of season 1, and these are going to be things that you need to consider before buying a dump truck. And this is assuming maybe you have a fleet of trucks, so this may not necessarily pertain to you because you've probably already figured out what you need for your business. But if you're getting into this and it's something new to you, first thing I would recommend before going out and buying a dump truck is drive a dump truck. And what I mean by that is go work for someone else and do it for a lengthy amount of time. I would say get 2 years behind the wheel, for many reasons. First reason being experience. Although dump truck seems like an easy job, and for the most part it is somewhat easy, there are a lot of things you need to learn, a lot of ins and outs and how things work, getting used to stability as far as level grounds, top heavy, things of that nature, driving off-road in a truck, things that you're just not going to get from a truck driving school, whether you're fresh out of school or if you're an over-the-road guy and you say, oh, I've got this, I'm just going to get me a dump truck so I can be local. I don't recommend that. What I would do is find you a trucking job local. If you're going to get a dump truck, what type of dump truck hauling do you want to do? Do you want to be someone that hauls aggregate such as gravel, sand, dirt, things like that? Whether it be to a lay-down yard, supply place, or do you want to get into more construction side where you're off-road on job sites, or demolition work where you're going into landfills. There's a lot of different ways you could go about doing this. So when you go to apply to the dump truck driving job, try to get one that's going to go toward the path that you want. And you may not know what path you want to go to. That's why I say go get some experience with another company. I see a lot of guys, and this has happened to guys that I know personally. They'll go out saying, hey, I've got a CDL, I want to buy a dump truck, and they'll go buy a dump truck, and they'll spend, it's a shame that these trucking, truck lots, whether it be a dealer or whatever, it's not like buying a car. To buy a car, they'll pretty much turn you away if you don't have certain credit or whatever. But with big trucks, they'll put almost anybody behind the wheel of a big truck if you want it. So I don't recommend, because I've seen this happen before, guys with no experience, they'll go buy a dump truck and they'll end up spending $100,000 plus on a dump truck, and they don't even know if it's something they want to do. They may enjoy it for 2 weeks, but in the end, they're tired of it. Now you're stuck with a truck payment, things of that nature. So the first thing to do is, if you're watching this, if you have no experience, this would be step 1. Obviously, you can still listen to the series. There's things you can learn, but I would definitely go get some experience. That is very important, because you do not want to go spend $100,000 on a truck, stuck with a pavement, only to find out you hate driving a dump truck. It can be very monotonous. That being said, if this is a path you do want to take and you have had experience, you say, I want to go out on my own, I think I can handle this by myself, I don't want to do the company driver thing anymore, that's what this series is about. Things to consider before buying a dump truck. And I will give you my background. My background as a truck driver, went to truck driving school, let's see, 12 years ago. Been about 12 years ago, okay. Left there, drove a tanker right out of school, which is unusual. I was 21, driving a tanker, dry bulk. Then I hauled gasoline. I moved some heavy equipment, got into dump trucks, and just kind of went from there. but most of my trucking career has been dump trucks and lowboys. So as far as the information I'm going to give you, these are things that I've experienced. The company I work for, I play a big part in deciding what trucks to get for the company and more or less what's going to work good for us, because I have the experience. Not saying I am the guru for this, but I have a good basis of what you should look for before purchasing a truck. So, step one, experience. And again, this is the intro. We're not going to get detailed into any of this, but step one, get your experience. Part two of this is you're going to pick a budget. How much money do you want to spend? And when I say money you want to spend, don't just look at that as, okay, the bank's willing to loan me $60,000 for a truck. Okay, can you afford that payment? It goes beyond that, though. If you have not checked on insurance for a truck, please do so before you purchase the truck to make sure you can afford that. That includes taxes. Taxes are not cheap on this stuff either. So step two, consider your budget. Step three, before you buy a truck, you want to look at engine sizes. Depending on what you're doing, that will come into play. Of course, a lot of the newer trucks now are just coming out with, they all just have big motors. It's getting to where finding a small engine in a bigger truck is getting a little bit more difficult. Most trucks are coming with these 500 horsepower motors right off the lot. So, if you're purchasing new, you kind of may be stuck with something. But if you're looking to use, that's something to consider. Engine size. The next thing you're going to want to consider is the type of transmission the truck has and maybe what type of tires. Tires are very important in this industry, whether you're using super singles, whether you're running duals. Are they open shoulder tires? Are they aggressive tires? Are they street tread tires? Are you running the interstate a lot? Do you have big float tires on the front, or do you have just the regular 11R tires on the front? A lot of this stuff, it's not just what you like. All those things play into what type of hauling you are doing. So that's something else to consider. Number 5 is the type of sorry, I had my notes here. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. Is the type of hood on the truck. And that sounds kind of superficial, and that's more of an aesthetic thing, but you'd be surprised how many long-nosed trucks, not saying even if you're a good driver, it's got nothing to do with that. Some places that you may hauling, a long-nosed truck, such as the traditional Pete 379, 389, the W900, the 990, trucks like that may not be a good fit for you. So keep that in mind, type of hood. And then also with that, and this goes back more to the tires and transmission also, are the number of axles. What do you plan on hauling? What state are you in? Because every state is different. Where I'm from, a 3-axle truck can haul basically 70,000 pounds. I go one state north of me, and that truck is limited to 54,000 pounds with that combination, because that state does not recognize only one lift axle. So that's important to know your local laws and regulations and what you're going to be hauling and what state you're going to be in. And we'll get into this more detail. So if I'm babbling on too much and this is too much to absorb, I understand. This has taken me many years to kind of grasp all of it. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you if you are new to this. The sixth thing, or the sixth episode, is what type of bed. And when you'll see a lot of dump trucks when you go looking to buy one, you're going to notice there are various sizes and types of beds that you're going to encounter. You're going to have some beds, we call them aggregate beds. They have a lot of ribs. It looks like these vertical columns down the side of the bed. Those ribs, those are good for aggregate, sand, things of that nature. Then you're going to have demolition style beds, which look like just one solid piece of steel down the side of the truck. The back will be the same. There's a reason for that, and we'll get into that when we get to that episode. So another thing to consider. And then number 7, not as important, but it is something to consider, especially if you're buying a new truck or you're buying a new one and you want it equipped with certain things, such as A hitch if you plan on pulling equipment. If you run a little grading company or an asphalt paving company or something of that sort, you may want a hitch. That may cost you $1,500, $2,000 to add to it. So if you can find one already on there, if you're looking for a used market, that may save you in the end. And then, of course, other accessories that you can look at. We'll get into that. What may help your business, what is just a waste of money, because chrome does not get you home. Remember that. Heard that from an old truck driver. And as much as I like chrome accessories, it is true. Chrome does not get you home. So, again, this series, all about what to consider before purchasing a dump truck. We're going to try to apply it to most industries as far as dump trucking, but the basis is to help you decide what truck that is going to fit your need best, because nothing's worse than buying a dump truck, and I've been down this road. Nothing is worse than buying a dump truck only to realize there's things it can't do. And when I say things it can't do, we'll get into that, especially when we start talking about types of beds, and even engine size will play a big factor depending on what area you're hauling in, whether it be mountainous or whatever, a lot of hills. So that's the series that we're going to be doing. This is the intro to that. That was kind of a breakdown. Again, episode 1 is this intro. Episode 2, we're going to talk about budgeting. 3 is going to be our engine sizes. Episode 4, we're going to be discussing tires and transmissions. Episode 5, the type of hood and maybe the axle configuration on your truck. Episode 6, what type of bed. And then episode 7, just basic information, small things about the truck. So, stay tuned. I'm going to try to put these out. We'll try to do it. I am actually heading to Virginia to look at another truck. We're going to be purchasing another dump truck. So the next episode may not come out for maybe Sunday evening. So today's the 23rd, I believe. So it may be the 25th before I get out the second episode, which is budgeting. So you guys stay tuned. Thanks again for watching. This is the Stop and Listen podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and we will catch you on the next video.